Hello. Okay, so I mentioned yesterday that I was going to give you guys a live tour of our homeschool portfolios. I know that everybody isn't required to keep portfolios. We are in Ohio, and honestly, I was doing this before we even moved to Ohio. When we lived overseas in Germany, we didn't have any kind of regulations whatsoever, which was really nice. And I still kept portfolios. I'm not really sure why, maybe just because for my own records, or I don't know. I keep track of things, so anyways, so I will show you how I store them and what I keep. This is my file box that I keep everything in. It's not super huge, it's just normal size, hard side. So inside, it's got hanging files, and I have a hanging file for each year. So I don't organize it by child, I organize it by school year. And like I've said before on the blog, we do a January to November school year. So it just says the year on it because our entire school year falls within one calendar year. So you can see the different years in here, and I will pull out an example. So let's look at 2015. So we've got it's labeled 2015. So this is all the material that I keep for the whole school year for all the kids for this year. I throw everything else away. At the end of the school year, I go through all the books, keep the things I want to keep. The rest of it just goes straight into the recycling bin because we move too much to try to keep everything. So I don't keep anything other than what's in this folder. Alright, so at the front of the folder, I keep my important teacher papers. These are just paper clipped together. So what I have is my excusal letter. We have that in Ohio that just says you've been approved for homeschooling. And then behind that I have, this is my calendar that I use to keep attendance throughout the year. Not really attendance, but I just highlight different colors based on the days that we did school and the days we didn't. In Ohio, we're actually not required to keep track of days. We are supposed to just do 900 hours, but I try to keep track of days because I just have a personal goal of trying to do 180 days. So that's just for my own records. And then the rest of the stuff that I have in here is just my lesson plans, like my teacher lesson plans for the various subjects. Like for example, in 2015 we did animals, so I just have lesson plans for the animals. Kind of shows what we went over as a whole. So that's in the front of the folder. And then behind that, the kids are clipped together, each kid. So Sophie was just in kindergarten that year, so hers is kind of small. Leah was in 2nd grade, hers is also kind of small. Connor was in 4th grade and he had more work, so his has got a little bit bigger of a clip. So let me show you Connor's, what I keep in here. So it's all binder clipped together right in that folder. And then if I take the binder clip off, I have each subject stapled together. So I write on a post-it note, Connor 4, because that's his grade, and reading. And so this is everything I kept for the year for reading. And what I try to do is I go through all of the stuff he did in reading for the year, and I pull out samples of his work. So I try to get some stuff from the beginning of the school year, some stuff from the middle, and some stuff from the end, just to kind of show that we're progressing and doing harder work at the end of the year than we were at the beginning. So there's just a bunch of stuff in here. None of it is graded. I don't really grade papers. And there's not even really any teacher's marks on here. It's just what we do. So we have reading, history, handwriting samples. Again, it's really helpful to have things from the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year, just to show progression. And one of my favorite things that I started doing when Connor was in kindergarten was this is just a handwriting sample we write every year. It says, this is how I write on the first day of 4th grade. This is how I write on the last day of 4th grade. So sometimes the neatness of their handwriting just depends on the mood of the child when we do it, but you can kind of tell that it gets better. Obviously kindergarten, there's a huge jump. So handwriting samples, he started doing cursive that year, so there's samples in there. Vocabulary, composition, science, geography. We also did home ec that year, and math and Spanish. So obviously some of these subjects aren't even required by the schools, like home ec and Spanish. I don't have to teach those. Hi. But I still keep samples of the stuff just for my own records. And when we do our portfolio assessments, which is also a requirement in Ohio, we have to have any certified teacher look through the portfolios. So what they do is they just look through all of the work that I bring them, and they kind of see the stuff that we're covering, and make sure that we're covering everything we're supposed to, and that I'm challenging the children. So the first year I had a friend of mine look through the portfolios, and it was obvious that the kids were doing just fine. But it's very helpful to have them organized this way, because then I have each subject just stapled together with a sticky note. You can see like all the different sticky notes, and then the whole grade clipped, and then the whole year in a file folder, and then the whole thing in here. So very organized if I want to find anything, and really easy for the assessors to flip through it and keep their minds organized when they're trying to do it. So yeah, those are our homeschool portfolios, and if you guys have any questions, just ask in the comments. And thanks for tuning in. Bye.